I was gonna talk kind of about like health guidelines and the difference between resistance training, which is like weight training, powerlifting potentially, and aerobic training, so cardiovascular or basically heart health training. And
Right.
did
I'm
either
gonna
of you
record
guys?
this, by the way.
What's that?
I'm gonna record this for a few minutes, by the way.
Yeah,
Just
go
a
for
minute.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Did
Recording in progress.
Did either of you gentlemen know that there's actually recommendations to be physically active and get enough cardio and get enough weight training in your life? Did you know that there's actually like, hey, do this much and you'll be healthier?
Yeah.
No, I did not know.
Okay, so that's one of the really fascinating things that I find about health and wellness is that people think like, oh, if I just do a little bit, it'll be good. And yes, something is better than nothing, but a bunch of smart people, smarter people than me, actually got together and through lots of studies and lots of trials, they found at least a good minimum amount of both aerobic, heart health exercise, and resistance training or basically weight training exercise for proper health. Um, so I'll just briefly kind of go over the aerobic and resistance training, and then after we talk about resistance training, Tyler, maybe you can show us a couple examples of kind of what I'm going to talk about, if that sounds cool. Sound good?
Mhm.
Cool. All right. So aerobic training, basically, when you think of aerobic training like cardio, cardiovascular work, just think of your heart. Think of your heart health. Think of all the different things that pump blood out to the muscles and organs in your body. So when we're talking about keeping our heart healthy, 150 minutes of moderate physical activity, and I'll kind of describe what moderate physical activity means in a little bit, or 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity a week is what's recommended to keep your heart healthy. So it doesn't have to be 150 minutes and 75 minutes, it's kind of either or. So if you're somebody who enjoys doing stuff that's really, really hard, really, really vigorous, you're actually going to get the benefits for your heart with less exercise. But if you're somebody who maybe just enjoys going out for kind of a casual, light, brisk walk, you like taking your dog out for a walk, those types of things, you have to do a little bit more to make up for the fact that it's not as hard. So I kind of mentioned 150 minutes of moderate activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. And you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, like 150 minutes, that's a lot. And it is if you only look at it as in, I have to complete all of that in one day. Usually we recommend people, if you're talking about moderate cardio activity, to try to split it into about 20 to 30 minute bouts per day. So 150 minutes into 5 days would actually just be 30 minutes per day of a moderate physical activity. So at least in my eyes, that's not nearly as daunting or as bad. Some examples of moderate cardio or physical activity could be brisk walking, mowing the lawn with like a push mower. Maybe you're shooting hoops casually with some friends, not really getting too deep in like an actual pickup game. Basically, I like to describe it as you notice you are working. You notice your body's working, you're getting your heart rate up a little bit, but you can still easily hold a conversation. On the opposite end of the spectrum is vigorous activity, which, as we just mentioned, 75 minutes a week of vigorous activity will keep your heart healthy. Remember, this is either or, so you can do either 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous. Vigorous activity, just like it sounds. What kind of stuff do you guys think would be a vigorous activity?
I think like doing running for track.
Beautiful, perfect. Jogging, running, biking up hills, actually playing a pickup game of basketball. What sports do you guys do again? Do any of you do like soccer or basketball? I mentioned basketball. Have any
I
of
don't
you,
do basketball.
Tyler,
Well,
have you
for
done?
me, like, I'm on the new team now. We're starting our basketball practice until December. I do basketball.
Yeah, perfect. So how do you feel after like a basketball game? Like a game when you're in most of the game?
is a piece of skin in my heart. I have to watch it.
Sure.
I get tired easily.
Yeah.
I get very tired easily. Like, when did my body tell me, like during school, like your body's telling you, like it's talking to you, like body language.
Right.
Like every time, like after I finish basketball game, when I feel my heartbeat going fast, I said, okay, I need to sit down. Or I said, I'm gonna grab my water bottle, drink a drink of water, help the heartbeat go low beat, help me cool down. I don't want to get stroke or heart attack.
Sure.
Like, it helped me like cool down a little bit. Like after I cool bit, I go back on the court and keep playing more.
Yeah. So you recognize that that's a hard activity because you need to take more time to recover from it, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you go for like a light walk around the block? Is that as hard? Yeah.
That was easy for me.
Right. So that would be kind of like a moderate activity, while the basketball, since it takes more out of you, is vigorous. Since basketball is harder, you don't need to do as much to get the heart health benefits. That's the main concept, is to think that if an exercise is harder to do during a week, you need to do less of it overall to become, I guess you could say, healthier, have good heart health. So that's heart health. On the flip end, there's also resistance training or weight training. This is something that a lot of people don't know as well. But to keep your bones healthy, to keep your joints healthy, like your knees and elbows, and to keep your muscles healthy, it's recommended that you work out one set, that means one time through an exercise, of 8 to 12 repetitions, 2 times per week. But you're probably asking, of what exercise? Basically, they tell people every major muscle group. So for example, and Tyler, you could probably demonstrate this, a squat. If you did one set of squats of a resistance that's kind of challenging for 8 to 12 reps twice a week, and that's not a lot, right? You'd be getting basically all the health benefits for working out your muscles, tendons, ligaments, and bones in just that little bit of exercise. So this can be done with at-home workouts, body weight stuff. You can do circuit on the machines like weight training class. Powerlifting, when you're doing a deadlift, that works almost every single muscle in your body. So if you did literally like one set as a warm-up set, and then you do a couple other working sets, you're basically getting almost all your physical activity in basically one day. Ideally, you're going to try to split that up, but the moral of the story of this is that a very little amount of resistance training and aerobic activity per week will give you most of the benefits, about 70 to 80% of the health benefits from exercising. So when you're talking to people about, oh, I don't have enough time, oh, I like want to work out, remember to reiterate that it doesn't take a lot to get a large amount of health benefits. So Tyler, I'm sure you got squats in your repertoire. Do you want to show a couple bodyweight squats?
Okay.
Perfect.
So in my high school year, we can't see that in my area. Perfect. Let me fix that. Okay, so we do like this during high school year. We go down to the floor. That's where my old high school gym teacher told me. And we go back up like, I forgot how many he said. Every time we to the weight class, he wrote it on the board that said, okay, so class, we did 2 set of 3s of something. I forgot. It's a long time.
So you mentioned a set. So you did 2 sets of probably like 10 to 15. I mean, were you just doing like body weight squats?
Yeah.
All right, so think about this. When you were doing that during your weight class, if all we need for at least kind of health benefits, twice a week, one set of every major muscle group. During your exercise class that day, if you were doing squats, you were basically getting all the health benefits for your leg muscles in that one day. And then, of course, you would want to do it another day too, so you can get the other day too. But in just one day, you got almost all the benefits. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's something to encourage a lot of the other athletes when they're maybe thinking, oh, I need to work out a large amount of time in the gym to get results. If you're just trying to be healthier specifically, it takes a very, very small amount of physical activity. The stuff that I mentioned, doing one set of around 10 repetitions of kind of a tough exercise, like maybe a goblet squat, for example, and then maybe a couple other things like a lat pull down, some of the other machines. I'm sure you had a lot of other exercises handy, but that only takes maybe 20, 30 minutes tops if you warm up. So just something to remind people.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of, I mean, I was gonna at that point, very abridged, I was gonna let you show a little bit more, but I think just some other tips I like to reiterate too is when you're going to the gym, to try to do things that you're comfortable with. And Tyler, I'm sure you would have helped us navigate a few more exercises we could have been comfortable with tonight. But to do stuff that you know well and you don't feel really self-conscious in doing, because I think sometimes people will go to the gym, especially if they're new, like a new Special Olympics athlete, and they'll see all these people doing all these crazy weights. They'll see them doing maybe CrossFit stuff, for example. And if somebody's never stepped into a gym, that can be pretty intimidating. So I always like to try to have people go with somebody who knows what they're doing first. Make sure they know the ropes, make sure they can build some confidence, because then maybe if they're going on their own, they can try those exercises, try those machines that they maybe don't normally do. But basically, going in, doing something you're comfortable with, and trying not to compare yourself with others. Have you ever struggled with that, Tyler? When you've gone to the gym,
No.
have you seen people doing stuff and you're like, man, I'll never be able to do that?
Well, I work at the West Y. I work at the West Y, and I see a lot of people doing it. They said, I talk to myself and said, I said, if I have more time, I said, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. I said, I can't. I said, I'm so busy, a lot of stuff.
For sure.
And I got a trainer named Jason. Jason talked to me a lot. He said, and I said, if I have more time, Jason will train me harder
Mm-hmm.
for Special Olympic stuff.
Right.
So when you first started, did you have a trainer when you first started?
No.
And how would you have felt if you went into the gym without a trainer? Well, is what you did. How did you feel? Overwhelmed at all?
I would feel overwhelmed, not knowing where to go.
Exactly. So when you guys are kind of like veterans now at this, right? Like you could navigate a gym pretty easily, in
Right.
lots of exercises. So and there's probably a lot of athletes who you might be on a team with different sports who they've never done stuff like this, or they've never tried to work out at home and do all these things. So just do your best to try to ease them into it and help them to realize, like, yeah, just because maybe I deadlift 500 pounds, or I do these crazy workouts, it doesn't have to be like that for you, at least when you start, and it honestly shouldn't. It should be within your own level.
Right.
Trying to encourage them, right? Being a good teammate.
Right. Right.
Okay.